Breaking news. According to Lukashenko, he warned Putin about wasting the rebel Wagner chief. The leader of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, claims that he pleaded with Putin, his ally and the president of Russia, to spare the life of the leader of the mercenary Wagner group, which last week attempted to overthrow Russia's top brass. Putin's longtime ally Lukashenko has announced that he will take in exiled rebels and Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin, claiming to have negotiated an end to the armed insurgency. "I told Putin, we can easily dispose of Prigozhin. If at first you don't succeed, try again." In a meeting with security officials, Lukashenko reportedly said, "I told him, don't do this." State media reported this statement as true. Prigozhin, who led the deadly march on Moscow last week, is expected to arrive in Belarus on Tuesday, as part of a deal that put an end to his revolt, as previously confirmed by Lukashenko. Western countries have imposed sanctions on Belarus's 68-year-old authoritarian leader for his brutal repression of political opponents and for facilitating Russia's invasion of Ukraine from Belarusian territory in 2014. Putin has been blamed by Kremlin detractors for the poisoning of prominent politician Alexei Navalny and the deaths of several other government opponents. In response to an armed rebellion led by Wagner mercenaries and their leader Yevgeny Prigozhin, Russian President Vladimir Putin has praised his security forces. On the steps of Cathedral Square within the Kremlin walls, Putin gave an impassioned speech to his troops. According to him, Russian forces prevented a civil war and saved the country's constitutional order, citizens' lives, security, and freedom. In addition, he asked for a moment of silence to honor the pilots who had been killed by Wagner mercenaries over the weekend. A plane believed to be connected to Prigozhin landed near Minsk on Tuesday morning, according to an independent Belarusian monitoring group. Whether or not he is on board is unclear. Since his troops withdrew from the march on Moscow, Prigozhin has been completely absent from public view. Officials from the Kremlin claimed he would be sent to Belarus, where concentration camps for Wagner supporters are supposedly being built. The Russian government has reportedly ended their probe into Prigozhin. The Wagner group is preparing to transfer military vehicles, artillery, and other weapons to the Russian armed forces, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. An evil rapist who murdered his girlfriend after torturing her for 3.5 hours has been set free by Russian President Vladimir Putin. Vladislav Kanius, 26, who brutally murdered his girlfriend by stabbing her 111 times, was released from prison after serving less than a year. He is one of hundreds of Russian criminals who have been freed after despot Putin gave the go-ahead for them to fight on the front lines in Ukraine. After breaking up with Kanius, his 26-year-old girlfriend Vera Pekteleva, 23, demanded her belongings back. Kanius tortured and murdered Pekteleva. Kanius, who had been given a 17-year sentence, was released from prison after serving less than a year. Oksana, the mother of the murdered Vera, has labeled the man a fanatic and a maniac, since he was given a gun and military fatigues earlier this year. She warned that any one of the victims could be killed at any time if the monster was released from prison, escaped from the front lines, or switched sides. Alyona Popova, a human rights advocate and lawyer in Russia, said, there were 111 wounds on her body. Using the cord from an iron, he strangled Vera after he had raped her. I'm at a loss for words to describe how furious I am. Putin has previously referred to exonerees who were forced to join Wagner or other Russian military groups as patriots of Russia. A judge called Kanius's crime a especially cruel murder, before he sentenced him to 6 months of community service. Vera, who was 23 and on track to graduate from a university in Kemerovo, was remembered at a service attended by 600 people after she was killed. Alyona, a human rights attorney, has since expressed concern that other inmates will use their 6-month pardon to kill and rape upon their return from the war.